So, you've stumbled upon Pandora's box. Maybe you found it buried in your grandma's attic. Or perhaps you took a wrong turn on a late-night internet search and ended up on an auction site for cursed relics. Either way, congratulations. You've just landed yourself in a world of trouble. You might think, it's just an old box. How bad can it be? Well, let me stop you right there. This isn't some antique trinket. This is the granddaddy of all supernatural calamities, and if you're not careful, you're about to unleash the worst of what the universe has to offer. Here's the thing. Pandora's box isn't just a box. It's a gateway to every terrible thing you can imagine, and some you can't. We're talking plagues, spirits, and existential dread all wrapped up in one neat little package. The ancient Greeks knew it was bad news, but apparently, no one bothered to slap a warning label on it before it ended up in your hands. And now? Well, now it's up to you to keep from becoming just another cautionary tale in the long, unfortunate history of people who couldn't resist messing with things they shouldn't. But don't panic, yet. With the right know-how and a little bit of luck, you might just make it out of this mess alive. The following tips will guide you through the chaos and insanity that Pandora's box is about to throw at you. Each one is designed to keep you one step ahead of the curses, the spirits, and the mind-bending horrors lurking inside. You'll learn how to avoid becoming a vessel for evil, how to resist the urge to reach for shiny objects, and how to keep your sanity intact when everything around you goes sideways. It's not going to be easy, and there's a good chance you'll be running for your life more than once. But if you can keep your head, follow these tips, and maybe muster up a bit of common sense, you might just survive long enough to tell the tale. And who knows? Maybe you'll even learn something along the way, like how to never ever mess with ancient Greek mythology again. Tip 1. Don't open the box. Seriously, just don't. You'd think this one would be obvious, but apparently it's not. The first rule of Pandora's box is simple. Don't open it. Don't even think about it. Yes, it's calling to you. Yes, it might be glowing, humming, or whispering sweet nothings about how you're special and that you deserve to know what's inside. But let me be perfectly clear. The second you crack that lid, you're unleashing an all-you-can-eat buffet of chaos, doom, and probably a plague or two. And trust me, nobody needs another plague. Let's talk about why opening the box is a bad idea. You know that feeling when you open a bag of chips, and suddenly, everyone in the room wants some? Now imagine that, but instead of your buddies wanting a snack, it's ancient curses, malevolent spirits, and plagues that want to tear your soul to shreds. There's no just peeking with Pandora's box. The second you let even the tiniest sliver of light through, you're basically sending an invitation to every evil thing in existence to come and crash at your place. And they're not the kind of guests that leave before breakfast. But I get it. Curiosity is a powerful thing. You want to know what's inside. Maybe it's treasure. Maybe it's the meaning of life. Maybe it's just socks. The problem is, Pandora's box is the ultimate bait and switch. It wants you to believe there's something amazing inside so that you'll be the next sucker to open it. Remember, the ancient Greeks didn't seal this thing up because it was full of fluffy kittens and rainbows. They locked it away because it's basically a Pandora's greatest hits collection of things that want to ruin your day and your entire existence. So, do yourself a favor. If you ever find yourself in the presence of Pandora's box, walk away. Don't touch it. Don't lean in for a closer look, and definitely don't listen to whatever it's whispering. Seal it up, wrap it in duct tape, and bury it somewhere far, far away. And if you're ever tempted to open it, just remember, there's a reason it was hidden for thousands of years. You really don't want to find out why. Tip 2. You opened the box. Now avoid the mirrors. Well, congratulations, genius. You went ahead and opened Pandora's box. I'm not judging you. Okay, maybe a little. But now you've got bigger problems than explaining why you thought messing with ancient curses was a good idea. One of those problems? Mirrors. Every shiny reflective surface around you has just become a potential death trap. You know, as if you didn't have enough to worry about already. Here's the thing. Now that the box is open, it's letting loose all sorts of nastiness, including a version of you that's just waiting to climb out of the nearest mirror and take over your life. You'll think it's just a trick of the light, or maybe you're sleep-deprived from all the chaos. But trust me, that reflection isn't you anymore. It's watching, waiting for you to slip up, so it can drag you into the mirror realm, or worse, switch places and leave you behind. Yeah, you thought the mirror was just for checking your hair. Not anymore. So, here's how you survive this nightmare. First, cover every mirror in your house. I don't care if you have to use towels, sheets, or your old collection of embarrassing high school band posters. Just cover them up. The more you limit your reflection's chances to study you, the better. Don't give it the opportunity to memorize your every move. And if you don't have anything to cover the mirrors, break them. Yeah, I know it's 7 years of bad luck, but let's be real. Having Pandora's box open in your living room is already way worse than a bit of shattered glass karma. But it's not just mirrors. Oh no. Pandora's box isn't going to make this easy for you. Any reflective surface is fair game. That shiny spoon you used for cereal this morning? The dark screen of your TV? Even the glass on your favorite picture frame? They're all potential gateways for your not-so-friendly doppelganger. If you catch your reflection moving when you're standing still, don't blink. The moment you blink, it knows you're scared, and that's when it'll make its move. And one last thing. If you ever hear a voice coming from the mirror that sounds exactly like you, but just a little off, run. Don't ask questions. Don't try to reason with it. Just run. Whatever's trying to lure you in isn't there to chat about your day. It wants to drag you into the depths of the mirror world, and I guarantee it's not a place with comfy chairs or snacks. In summary, you opened Pandora's box, and now your reflection wants to have a heart-to-heart with you, permanently. Cover up those mirrors, avoid anything with a shiny surface, and don't be afraid to get a little rough with that hammer if you need to. It's either that or spending the rest of eternity as a reflection. And let's be honest, you don't have the patience for that. Tip 3. Don't trust the light. It's leading you into a trap. You know that moment in horror movies when the character sees a light in the distance and thinks, "Oh, thank goodness, salvation?" Yeah, they're always wrong. And now that you've opened Pandora's box, that's about to become your reality. The box knows you're desperate. It knows you're looking for any sign of hope. And that's exactly why it's going to dangle that little glowing bait right in front of you. But here's the harsh truth. That light is just leading you into a trap. At some point, you're going to find yourself surrounded by darkness, and then, out of nowhere, a flickering light will appear. It might look like an exit sign, a cozy lantern, or even your own flashlight miraculously turning back on after you swore it died. Don't buy it. That light isn't your friend, it's bait, designed to lure you deeper into the labyrinth where the real horrors are waiting. You follow it, and you're as good as Pandora's box property. So, how do you handle this glowing deception? For starters, question everything. If it's a light that just popped up out of nowhere, assume it's a trap, ignore it, and if possible, walk in the opposite direction. Pandora's box thrives on your desperation, and the moment you show any interest in that flickering glow, it's game over. You're basically handing over your sanity on a silver platter. Here's a practical solution. Carry a reliable backup light source with you at all times. Not just your phone flashlight. That thing's going to die the second you need it most, and we both know it. Get yourself a high-quality lantern, an industrial-grade flashlight, or if you're feeling old school, a flaming torch. Just make sure it's something you can control, because trusting any light source that Pandora's box provides is like trusting a cat not to knock over your glass of water. It's just not happening. Lastly, trust your instincts over your eyes. If a light looks too inviting, too perfect, or too conveniently placed, it's probably hiding something that wants to chew on your bones. And if you start hearing voices coming from the glow, whispering sweet promises about safety or escape, you've got one job. Turn around and walk away. Fast. In summary, don't be that person who follows the light just because it's there. Pandora's box is playing tricks, and it's betting you'll take the bait. Keep your own light close, trust your instincts, and never follow the glow. You'll live longer that way. Tip 4. Ignore the whispers. They're not giving you good advice. You know that little voice in your head that tells you not to eat that extra slice of pizza at 2 a.m.? Yeah, Pandora's box is not that voice. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Now that you've opened the box, it's going to start whispering sweet nonsense into your ear. And spoiler alert, it doesn't have your best interests in mind. If anything, It's the world champion of bad advice. Imagine the worst motivational speaker you've ever met, but this one can actually ruin your life. The whispers will start off innocently enough. Soft, soothing, like it's trying to convince you that it's on your side. Hey, you're doing great. Why not take a closer look? It'll be worth it. But don't be fooled. Pandora's box is like that shady guy at a casino who tells you that you're definitely on a winning streak right before you lose your life savings. The whispers are there to manipulate you, and they're really, really good at it. So what do you do when the whispers start? Step 1. Block them out. I'm talking earplugs, noise-canceling headphones, or if you're desperate, those giant earmuffs you see construction workers wear. Crank up some music, and not the soft, relaxing kind. Go for something that'll make it impossible to hear anything else. Polka, death metal, 90s boy bands. All valid choices. Just make sure that whatever you're listening to is louder than the whispers, because once they get into your head, they're not going to leave without a fight. Now, if the whispers start sounding like someone you know, maybe your mom, your best friend, or even your dog, it's time to get serious. Pandora's box loves using familiar voices to get under your skin, and it's incredibly convincing. But remember, your mom isn't suddenly going to appear in your living room telling you to open the box. If she is, well, you've got bigger problems. Stay focused, keep the headphones on, and if you have to, duct tape them to your head. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And here's one last piece of advice. Don't talk back to the whispers. It's tempting, I know. Maybe you want to tell them off, ask them questions, or just shout, "Not today, Satan." But the second you start responding, you're playing their game. And Pandora's box doesn't lose. So keep your mouth shut, keep your ears covered, and whatever you do, don't let the whispers worm their way into your brain. In short, the whispers are like the world's worst backseat driver, constantly telling you what to do, but with a 100% chance of ruining your life. Block them out, drown them out, and pretend they don't exist. Because the only thing worse than listening to them is following their advice. Tip 5. Don't trust the kids. They're definitely not kids. You know what's scarier than accidentally unleashing the horrors of Pandora's box? Creepy children. You're going to see them now, appearing out of nowhere, all wide-eyed and innocent, asking for help in the middle of the chaos you've unleashed. And if you're thinking, oh no, they're just lost, poor things, then congratulations, you've just signed up for a front-row seat to your own doom. These aren't regular kids. They're Pandora's box in disguise, trying to lure you into a false sense of security. Maybe they're crying for their mom. Maybe they're asking you to help them find their way out. Or maybe they're just standing there, staring at you without blinking. Because nothing says trustworthy like an unblinking child in the middle of supernatural mayhem. But here's the thing. Those big, innocent eyes, yeah, they're more likely windows to the void. Don't look too close, or you might find yourself falling into whatever nightmare realm they're connected to. So, what do you do when you come across one of these pint-sized pretenders? First rule, do not, under any circumstances, take their hand. I know, you want to be a good person, but trust me. One touch, and you'll find yourself pulled into a dimension where children's laughter is the last thing you'll ever hear. And not the cute kind of laughter either. I'm talking the creepy, echoing kind that gets louder the more you try to run away. If they reach out, just back away slowly, like you're trying to avoid catching whatever cursed cooties they're carrying. If you hear them calling for help, resist the urge to respond. It's a trap, plain and simple. Remember, Pandora's box knows exactly how to mess with your sense of compassion. It's betting that you're the type of person who can't resist helping a crying child. But the second you turn your back, or try to lead them to safety, they're going to transform into something that makes the stuff from your worst nightmares look like a Saturday morning cartoon. And no, you can't run faster than a demon child. Nobody can. Here's a practical tip. If you're really worried about being tricked by these little horrors, carry some candy with you. Not to give to them, are you crazy? But to toss as a distraction. Weirdly enough, Pandora's box versions of children seem to be drawn to shiny wrappers. So if one starts getting too close, throw some candy in the opposite direction. It's not foolproof, but it'll buy you a few seconds to make your escape. Think of it as a reverse Hansel and Gretel situation, except you're the one dropping the breadcrumbs. Bottom line, children are adorable when they're not trying to drag your soul into the underworld, but when it comes to Pandora's box, They're just another disguise for the horrors it's unleashed. So keep your distance, don't let them get too close. And if all else fails, remember this simple truth. Real children don't appear out of thin air in the middle of ancient curses. It's not a coincidence. It's a trap. Tip 6. Stay out of the shadows. They're alive and hungry. Okay, I get it. You thought opening Pandora's box was going to be a peek inside and close it quickly kind of deal. But now you're in a world where even shadows want to kill you. Yep. The darkness isn't just a spooky backdrop anymore. It's got an appetite. And guess who's on the menu? You. So, unless you want to end up as the box's latest midnight snack, you'd better start avoiding the shadows like your life depends on it. Because it does. Here's the thing. Now that Pandora's box is open, shadows aren't just, well, shadows anymore. They move, they shift, and sometimes, if you listen closely, they whisper your name. Yeah, it's creepy, but it's not the worst part. The worst part is that the shadows aren't waiting for you to come to them. They're coming to you. You'll feel them creeping up your legs, curling around your arms, and before you know it, they've got you. And suddenly, you're part of the darkness too. Not a fun way to spend eternity, let me tell you. So how do you avoid becoming Shadow Chow? First rule, stick to the light. I don't care if you have to carry around a flashlight, a lantern, or even one of those massive industrial floodlights. You need to keep a barrier of light between you and whatever's lurking in the darkness. The moment you step into the shadows, you're vulnerable. It's like walking into a bear's den covered in honey. Just don't do it. And don't rely on candles, okay? I know they look all atmospheric and cool, but a tiny flickering flame isn't going to cut it against shadows that have literally crawled out of an ancient curse. You want something that screams, "Back off, I'm not messing around." LED lights, camping lanterns, a blowtorch if you've got one. Think bright, think obnoxious, and if it doesn't burn your retinas a little, it's not good enough. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Pandora's box is sneaky. It'll try to make you think you're safe, that the shadows aren't really moving, that they're just a trick of the light. Don't believe it. If you see something darting in your peripheral vision, if the shadow behind you suddenly gets a little too long, or if you swear you felt something brush against your leg even though you're standing still, run. Because that's not a shadow, it's a warning, and you don't want to stick around to find out what happens next. Lastly, if you're ever caught in a situation where you're surrounded by shadows and your light source is about to die, because of course, that's when it happens, there's one last-ditch trick you can try. Close your eyes. I know, it sounds insane. But shadows feed on fear, and if you can convince yourself, even for a moment, that they're not real, they might just lose interest. It's a gamble, but hey, you opened Pandora's box, so clearly you're into taking risks. In short, stay out of the shadows. Don't let them touch you. And if you feel like the darkness is creeping in a little too close, shine that light like your life depends on it. Because it does. Tip 7. Avoid the shiny objects. They're just bait. Oh, look, shiny things. Because clearly, when you opened Pandora's box, you were hoping for a treasure hunt, right? Wrong. Those glittering jewels, sparkling trinkets, and mysterious glowing orbs scattered all over the place aren't rewards for your curiosity. They're traps. And if you've got even a hint of magpie DNA, now's the time to fight that urge to hoard shiny objects because they're designed to lure you into a fate much worse than bankruptcy. You see, Pandora's box is like the ultimate cosmic prankster. It knows how much humans love things that sparkle. So, what better way to distract you from the absolute horror you just unleashed than by sprinkling around a bunch of sparkly, irresistible distractions? But here's the catch. Every shiny object you reach for is tethered to something much, much worse. Think of it like fishing bait, but you're the fish, and that sparkling diamond is the hook that's about to drag you into the depths of supernatural doom. Now, let's talk about the dangers of getting too close to these trinkets. Maybe you spot a gold coin gleaming on the floor, or a gem glowing with an otherworldly light. You think, what's the harm in picking it up? Well, for starters, that coin might be fused to your palm the moment you touch it, turning your hand into some kind of ancient, cursed jewelry holder. Or worse, that gemstone might start to pulse. And before you know it, you're the proud host of a parasitic spirit that makes bad roommates look like angels. The practical solution? Don't touch anything that glitters. If it shines, glows, or sparkles, leave it alone. Pandora's box is like the ultimate scam artist. Everything it offers comes with a catch. And if you really can't help yourself, here's a tip. Carry a stick. Use it to poke at anything that catches your eye. That way, if it turns into a soul-sucking demon or opens a portal to another dimension, at least it's the stick's problem, and not yours. Also, remember that Pandora's box is an expert at making things seem more valuable than they really are. That golden amulet might look like it's worth a fortune, but it's probably just a cursed object that'll turn you into a human piñata for spirits to whack at. And no one wants that. If you absolutely must bring home a souvenir, stick to memories and emotional scars. They're lighter, less likely to kill you, and you won't have to explain them to airport security. Bottom line, the shiny objects are bait, and you're the fish. Don't take the lure, don't touch the treasure, and if something looks like it belongs in a pirate movie, leave it for the next poor fool who wanders in. Because, as tempting as it might be, no amount of glitter is worth becoming the latest addition to Pandora's cursed collection. Tip 8. Avoid eye contact with the spirits. They're not here to chat. So, Pandora's box is open, and now you've got more than just creepy bugs, weird lights, and nightmarish reflections to worry about. Spirits. Yep, the kind that drift, hover, and generally make you question every life choice that brought you to this point. These aren't the friendly, Casper-like ghosts you're used to seeing in movies. No, these spirits are here with one goal in mind: to latch onto your soul and never let go. And the fastest way to invite them in? Making eye contact. Now, I get it. Avoiding eye contact isn't exactly easy when something is hovering right in front of you, staring into your very existence. But trust me on this one, don't look. The second you lock eyes with one of these phantoms, it's game over. They'll cling to you like a desperate ex who still thinks you can make things work. And let's be real. You're not getting out of that situation without losing a piece of yourself. When the spirits start pouring out of the box, and they will, keep your gaze down, your head low, and pretend you're suddenly fascinated by your shoes. If you've ever had to avoid making eye contact with your boss after coming in late, or sidestepping an awkward conversation with your neighbor, you're already halfway there. Treat the spirits like that uncomfortable ex you run into at a party. Just keep your eyes glued to your drink and hope they don't notice you. Here's a practical strategy. Carry something to block your line of sight. A hat with a wide brim, a hoodie pulled way down over your face, or even a pair of oversized sunglasses. Sure, you might look ridiculous, but wouldn't you rather look silly than become a permanent ghost host? I promise. It's a small price to pay for keeping your soul intact. And if anyone questions your fashion choices, just tell them you're setting a trend. But here's where it gets tricky. These spirits aren't just going to float around waiting for you to ignore them. They'll whisper, they'll plead, and they'll do everything they can to get you to look up. You might hear them calling your name, pretending to be someone you know, or even crying for help. It's all part of the act. The moment you show even a hint of interest, they've got you. So, keep your ears tuned out, your eyes on the ground, and resist the urge to peek. And whatever you do, don't try to reason with them. You're not going to outsmart an ancient spirit with thousands of years of experience in soul harvesting. They've heard every excuse, every plea, and every sad story you can come up with. They're not here for small talk. They're here to drain every ounce of energy, fear, and hope you have left. In summary, if you see a spirit drifting toward you, keep your gaze low, your thoughts elsewhere, and whatever you do, don't look into their eyes. Because once you do, it's no longer a question of whether you'll survive Pandora's box. It's how long it'll take before you're just another wandering soul looking for the next fool to make eye contact. Tip 9. Beware of swarms, bugs, birds, and worse. By now you're probably thinking, how much worse can this get? Well, buckle up, because Pandora's box isn't done messing with you yet. You've dealt with whispers, shadows, and creepy lights. But now it's time to face the next horror. Swarms. And not just any swarms. These are the kind that would make even the most hardcore exterminator throw in the towel. The moment Pandora's box flung open, it released every flying, crawling, slithering nightmare you've ever imagined, and a few you haven't. We're talking insects the size of your fist, birds with beaks that can slice through metal, and things that shouldn't exist outside of a monster movie. The worst part? They're not here to sightsee. They're here for you. So how do you survive when the air around you suddenly starts buzzing with wings and chittering with mandibles? First rule: find shelter. It doesn't matter if you have to dive into a dumpster, climb a tree, or barricade yourself in a random shed. Get out of the open. Swarms love open spaces, and the moment you're exposed, you're basically ringing the dinner bell. And don't think that hiding under a blanket is going to cut it. These creatures will find every crack, gap, or crevice, and they won't stop until they're inside. If you're caught out in the open, it's time to improvise. Bug spray might slow them down, but let's be real. These are supernatural swarms. They probably see bug spray as a light seasoning. Go bigger. Grab a can of hairspray and a lighter, and suddenly you've got yourself a makeshift flamethrower. Just be careful not to set yourself on fire. There's surviving a swarm, and then there's becoming your own worst enemy. Now let's address the birds. These aren't your garden variety pigeons. They're angry, they're territorial, and they've got talons that could cut glass. Your best defense? Find something to wave around. An umbrella, a jacket, a random stick, anything that makes you look bigger and more threatening than you actually are. And if that doesn't work, start shouting. Birds don't like loud noises, and neither do swarms of insects, for that matter. Sure, you'll look like a lunatic screaming at the sky, but it's better than becoming bird food. Lastly, be wary of anything that doesn't fit the usual bug or bird mold. Pandora's box isn't bound by normal biology, so if you see something with 6 wings, glowing eyes, or a mouth where it shouldn't be, assume it's going to ruin your day. Don't hesitate. Swat, stomp, scream, do whatever it takes to keep these nightmares at bay. In summary, swarms are relentless, and they're out for blood. Find shelter, get creative with your defenses, and don't be afraid to act like a complete maniac if it keeps them away. This is survival, not a nature documentary. And the last thing you want is to end up as a statistic in Pandora's twisted game. Tip 10. Be ready to face the worst version of yourself. Congratulations, you've made it this far, and you're still in one piece. But here's the bad news. Pandora's box has one last trick up its sleeve, and it's the most brutal one yet. You're about to come face to face with the worst version of yourself. The one you've been avoiding, denying, or pretending doesn't exist. And this isn't just some metaphorical, look in the mirror and confront your insecurities moment. This is the real deal. Your worst self is going to step out of the shadows, crack its knuckles, and challenge you to a fight. You know all those flaws you've been trying to hide, the moments you're not proud of, that time you ate an entire cake by yourself and then blamed it on the cat? Yeah, that version of you is about to show up, and it's not interested in having a heart-to-heart. It's here to prove that it's better, stronger, and meaner than you'll ever be. So how do you survive a showdown with yourself? First, accept that this twisted version of you knows every single one of your weaknesses. It knows exactly where to hit you, literally and emotionally. It's going to taunt you, remind you of every mistake you've made, every failure, every time you let someone down. And guess what? You've got to own it. The more you try to deny your faults, the stronger it gets. The worst version of yourself feeds off your denial, your shame, and your insecurity. Instead, flip the script. Acknowledge every single thing it throws at you. Yes, I did eat that cake, and yes, I do regret it. But I'm still here, aren't I? By owning your flaws, you strip away its power. You're taking away its ammunition, leaving it with nothing but an echo of what it used to be. And trust me, nothing pisses off an evil doppelganger more than having nothing to work with. Next, fight dirty. You're up against yourself, so you already know all your moves, tricks, and strategies. That means you have to get creative. If you'd normally go for a punch, try a kick. If you're expecting it to block high, go low. This isn't about being fair. It's about survival. After all, there's no referee in this match, and Pandora's box definitely didn't sign up to play by the rules. Here's a tip. Talk to it. Sounds ridiculous, I know, but hear me out. The worst version of yourself is used to you being silent, ashamed, and avoiding confrontation. Throw it off by chatting. Tell it about your day, complain about the weather, or start singing your favorite song. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as you're saying something. Your evil twin doesn't know how to handle an opponent who's not afraid to speak up. And the more you talk, the more confused it gets. Finally, remember that this version of yourself is just that, a version. It's not the real you. It's a twisted, exaggerated reflection of your worst fears, regrets, and insecurities. But it's not who you are. You've made it this far, you've survived the swarms, the whispers, the shadows, and everything else Pandora's box has thrown at you. You're stronger than you think, and it's time to show this imposter who's really in charge. In summary, facing the worst version of yourself is Pandora's box's final challenge. But you've got this. Own your flaws, fight back, and don't be afraid to laugh in your doppelganger's face. After all, if you can survive the darkest parts of yourself, there's nothing left that the box can throw at you. And that, my friend, is the ultimate victory. You've made it. Somehow, against all odds, you've faced down everything Pandora's box had to throw at you and lived to tell the tale. You've outsmarted the light, evaded the swarms, ignored the whispers, and stood your ground against the worst version of yourself. It would be tempting to say that it's over now, that you can finally breathe a sigh of relief and move on with your life. But here's the truth. It's far from over. Because once Pandora's box is opened, it doesn't just close neatly and tuck itself away. It stays open, and it doesn't forget. The dangers you faced aren't just going to vanish because you followed these tips. The box has tasted freedom, and it's not going back into hiding anytime soon. It's out there, spreading its chaos, finding new ways to weave itself into your life. Maybe you'll start noticing little things. Shadows that move when you're not looking, whispers in the wind, a sudden flicker of light in the corner of your eye. Maybe you'll convince yourself it's just your imagination. But deep down, you'll know the truth. Pandora's box isn't done with you yet. The monsters you fought, the horrors you faced, they might be lying low for now, but they're always waiting. They'll bide their time, lurking just beyond your vision, ready to strike when you least expect it. You might have survived this round, but the box is patient. It has all the time in the world, and it knows exactly how to find your weaknesses. The only question is, will you be ready when it comes back for you? So don't let your guard down. Keep your flashlight close, your eyes sharp, and your wits about you. The darkness may retreat for a while, but it's never truly gone. And when you hear that familiar whisper, when you see that flicker of light, or when you feel the air shift in that unmistakable way, you'll know it's starting all over again. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be ready to face it once more. For now, consider this a truce, a temporary ceasefire between you and the box. But don't forget, Pandora's box is out there, and it doesn't play by any rules. The next time it calls, it won't be so forgiving. So, stay vigilant, stay prepared, and whatever you do, don't let your curiosity get the better of you again. Because once the box has you in its sights, it's only a matter of time before it pulls you back in. Until then, take a breath, gather your strength, and remember, this fight isn't over. It never really is.